Hello and welcome back to another episode of Film Club, the series where we just talk about films because why not? Remember, comment whatever you've been watching, let me know what you thought of things that you've watched. If you watch any of the films that I mentioned, make sure to comment them. Or if you want to be more involved in the Film Club, check out the Patreon, join the Discord and go talk about the films in the Film Club channel. But I'm going to get straight into it because in this Film Club we actually have 5 films to talk about. I've been watching a lot of films. We'll get straight into it with the first one, which I'm going to absolutely butcher this name, but it's the Banshees of Inisherin. This is a film I watched because I saw it getting a lot of traction in the awards, and for good reason. I actually really liked this film. Colin Farrell, I actually really like as an actor, and in this, he actually gives a great performance. The first thing that caught my eye in this film is sort of the soft colour palette of it. Not necessarily soft, but it's very, it's vibrant, if anything. It's just kind of nice to see. You don't get a lot of films recently where it's actually like poppy and colourful and nice, unless it's some really rubbish Netflix film. At first, I thought this was going to be like a really nice story about friendship. For the first half, it sort of is, but then as the film goes on, it gets a little bit darker. I don't want to give away too much, I don't want to spoil too much, but you need to watch this and just give it till 3/4 of the way into the film and you'll be like, oh. I googled a little bit about this film and someone has said that it's got some sort of metaphor to the Irish Civil War. I don't know too much about it, so for me, I couldn't see that, but I just enjoyed it as for what it was, just a story about 2 friends who had fallen out. And that's basically all this film was. It was just great acting performances, a nice little story. And to be honest, I think that's sort of what the awards really love. They love films like that. Just a nice little story and some great performances. That's all I can really say about this film. It's on Disney Plus, so definitely go give it a watch. The next film, this has been on my list of things that I wanted to watch for ages, but I just for some reason never got round to doing it. That is The Sound of Metal. So this is a couple years old now, I think, but it's a great film. The premise is it's a drummer in a rock band who goes deaf. The film follows him sort of coming to terms and learning how to deal with being deaf and learning sign language and things like that. A really interesting perspective to watch someone with a hearing issue like that. Almost made my ears feel a little bit weird because it shows you like what his perspective is and how he can hear, and when he has an operation, how he hears then. And honestly, I sympathise so much more for those people. I don't know how people do it when they're deaf. I really, really admire people who just like continue on with life as normal without being able to hear anything. That was kind of my main takeaway from this film, and it was really nice to see that representation of that community, which I've never really seen or known anything about. Great performances in this, the cinematography is good, but as I say, it really shines as the story of a deaf person. Now the next film I want to talk about is Manchester by the Sea. This is another film that I've had on my list for absolutely ages to watch, but just haven't. It went on a bit of an awards cycle a couple years back, and it grabbed my attention from that. And this is just a really nice story film. Like, well, I wouldn't say nice actually, because it's very dark and sort of depressing, but I suppose it has its highlights at times. Not really actually. It's quite a tough film to watch at some points. There's a couple scenes where the actor's really giving their all, and the pain that you can see in them is like, it's quite hard to watch. Having seen like what they go through in that film, and I'm not going to spoil it, but what happens to him and how he's sort of gone on from that is ridiculous. And the worst thing about it is it's like probably a real story that's happened not once but many times, and just another really nice sort of life story. So the next film that I watched was something that I've seen before, but I watched it again. The Batman. I've come to the realization when I've rewatched this film now that comparing this to The Dark Knight doesn't work. In my opinion, The Batman is a better Batman film, but The Dark Knight is a better film. Not in terms of its Batman aesthetic or anything like that. In terms of just an actual film, it's a better film. But The Batman is a better Batman film by miles. The way that Gotham is as a city is just on point, perfect. The way that the villains are, and sort of, not even just the villains, but like the civilians, and the city feels like a villain in itself, like it's this issue that Batman needs to solve. This film is perfect for just depicting Batman. The cinematography of this film is just incredible. I forgot how good it was. The use of virtual production is perfect in this film. It actually brings to life Gotham in a way that we've just not seen before. I feel like this is where The Batman shines, is it really pulls you into the Batman universe and puts you in Gotham. The performances in this are great. I mean, I actually love Robert Pattinson now. I think he's amazing in anything that he's in now. But Paul Dano is just the best person at acting psychopaths. Prisoners to this, just perfect in all of them. I don't know if that's a compliment for him or not, but he just plays it so well. I remember when I went to the cinema and watched this, and in the scene where Batman's interrogating him and he starts singing, everyone was laughing and thinking, oh, this is like stupid, but that's what a psychopath should be. Him being that mental, that is a true psychopath. So well done. And the last film that I want to talk about today is a new film that I went to see at the cinema, which is M3GAN. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting much from this film. I knew going into it was just going to be a stupid killer thriller type thing. It was just lackluster in every way possible. If you're going to do a film like that, make M3GAN go on a psychopathic rampage, make her kill loads of people. Killed a couple, but only about 4. He only went ballistic for like 15 minutes. He was really easily defeated at the end. Like, it seemed really pointless. But I was sat there thinking, you know what? This could have been a really good concept of a film. If it wasn't a film, and if it was a Black Mirror episode that was like 50 minutes long, and instead of M3GAN being the one going all psychopathic and mental, it should have been the girl. Because halfway through the film, the girl starts to get really aggressive and really angry because she's really attached to this doll. In a Black Mirror way, what they should have done is have the girl like kill the mum because she's taken M3GAN away. And it'd be more about the fact that because you've put all that dependence on the robot, the child is now emotionally attached to that more than the mother. And it being a bit more of like a psychological thing for the girl and children's relationships with technology. That would have been so much better. Yes, you wouldn't have been able to sell it as this killer, but as a Black Mirror episode, that would be great. I mean, the whole time I was watching this, I did think that this whole film is basically just a Black Mirror episode, but not one of the really good ones that you think, wow, this is great, really clever writing. It's one of them that you watch and you're just like, yeah, technology's bad, we probably shouldn't do that. I'm not saying the film was absolutely horrific and awful, but it wasn't great. But anyway, have you seen any of those films? If you have, tell me what you think about them. If you haven't yet watched them and you want to go ahead and watch them, come back, comment, let me know what you think, and let me know what you've been watching. I want to hear from you. But that is all from me, and I hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Film Club.